Hello everybody, my name is Asemota, and I'm a pencil partner working on their virtual learning series through Hands-On Nashville. Today I'll be teaching you the basics of algebra. Math may seem scary and even useless to some, but I believe everyone can grasp its concepts and see its usefulness in time. Before we begin, make sure to quarantine yourselves, stay hydrated, and get tested if you show symptoms. Now, let's talk math. What exactly is algebra? Is it just a fancy word for math? Is it just math with letters and symbols instead of numbers? Those notions aren't completely incorrect. Let me explain. Algebra is a broad term for math that deals with the unknown. Algebra includes several rules that develop upon each other fundamentally. These rules can be overwhelming at times, but they're usually easy to remember because they're always used because math is very fundamental. So you never have to worry about a useless rule because it'll pop up again some other time. Essentially, algebra is simply trying to uncover something hidden with the data you're giving using the established rules of algebra. If you've ever seen anything dealing with algebra, you've likely seen a lot of math with letters and symbols, especially the letters X and Y. These letters don't represent anything definite, meaning they won't represent the same thing every time you see them. These letters are abstract in their meaning, but each problem you have will clearly define each of these letters and symbols. Let's look at an example. So here we have the equations. X plus 4 equals 6. In equations like these, letters and symbols are known as variables. These variables are hidden values that you must find in order to complete the equation. The most common variables you'll see are x, y, and f. There are also many symbols used in these equations, such as this symbol here, which is theta, the Greek letter, which is often used when using equations that deal with shapes. How do we solve for these variables, though? For that, we're going to need to use the established rules of algebra. Let's look at addition and subtraction. When there is an equation that has plus or minus numbers and then a number on the other side of the equation, the variable can be dealt with simply by using addition or subtraction. It's important to take the left side and the right side of the equation into the account, because whatever you do to the right, you have to do to the left. And in this instance, we're trying to separate x away from this 9. And since this is a plus 9, we want to get rid of it by subtracting the equation by 9. And so if we're going to do that, we're going to do that on both the left and right. So on the left, we're going to do minus 9, and on the right, we're going to do minus 9. And that will give us what x plus 0 equals 4, or simply x equals 4. And if we substitute this value for x back into the original equation, we get 4 plus 9 equals 13, which is true. Now this is abstract, so how about I use a real world scenario for this next one. X minus 5 equals 2. Let's say your parents give you 5 hours, this 5 right here, 5 hours to do whatever you want. And let's say X is how many hours you spent, and the 2 is how many hours you have left. Oh, I'm sorry. Got that backwards. X is how many hours you were allowed, 5 is how many hours you spent, and 2 is how many hours you have left. And so if we want to find out how many hours we had in the first place, we want to add 5 to both sides of the equation, because since we spent this 5 to get the original value back, we have to add 5 back. And so adding 5 on both sides of the equation will result in x plus 0 equals 7, or x equals 7. If we put this back in the original equation, 7 minus 5 is equal to 2. What if x is multiplied by a number? In that case, we'll have to use multiplication and division. Multiplication and division works differently than addition and subtraction in the fact that it applies to all elements in the equation at the same time. So in this example, we have 2x equals 14. So 2 is being multiplied by x. In order to get rid of that 2, we have to divide by 2 on both sides. And there's only one number in this equation, but how many variables there are in the equation, you have to divide by 2 on all of them. And so if we divide x by 2, we get x, and 14 by 2, we get 7. And if we go back to the original equation, 7 times 2 is equal to 14. Let's look at a real world example. Let's say you have a brother who is 2 years old, who is 3 years old, sorry. And you have a father whose age is a fifth of your brother's minus 2. So in this equation, x is going to be representative of your father's age. 3 is your brother's age, and 2 is the number minus a fifth of your father's age. So we have two ways about going about this. You see, we have to do both addition and multiplication. So you can choose which one you don't want to do first. You could multiply all the things by 5 in order to get this 1/5 x into a 1x. In doing that, you have to multiply 5 on all of the elements. So you'll get x minus 10 equals to 15. Or alternatively, what you could do first is add 2 on both sides of the equation to get 1/5 x equals to 5. Whatever you did first, you have to do the other operation next in order to solve for x. So on this side, if we have x minus 10 equals to 15, we now have to add 10 on both sides to get x is equal to 25. Or alternatively, if we add it first, now we have to do times 5 on both sides to get 1/5 x is equal to 5. Times 5 and times 5, we get x is equal to 25. As you can see, we got the same result. We just went about it in different ways. Generally, it's better to add first because you want to combine the numbers. It's better to combine the numbers while they're small rather than combine them while they're large. Or in some cases, when you divide or multiply, you'll get fractions, and it's easier to combine non-fractions than real fractions. All right, so we've seen some examples of basic algebra equations. But what's the point of all this? Why spend time writing down x and y and weird-looking symbols just to solve an equation you could do in your head? The answer as to why algebra is used is to clearly visualize complex equations. Yes, these examples are quite simple, and it could be done in your head very quickly. But what if the problem wasn't so simple? What if you had hundreds of numbers and fractions to account for in your problems? Not only would that be difficult to solve in your head, but it'd be nearly impossible to communicate with someone else because it'd be so many numbers you'd have to tell them. And that's where algebra comes in. Writing the problem down and writing it with variables helps us visualize the relationship between the numbers and allows us to easily manipulate the equation using the established rules we have of algebra. Algebra is a way to simplify problems so that we can solve them in a timely manner and clearly present our findings to others. Well, what if you just don't care about math? Well, you should, because at the core of math is problem solving. It's no coincidence that some of the smartest people in the world are mathematicians. Being excellent in math means you are an excellent problem solver, and being an excellent problem solver will help you in all situations, no matter what. With this in mind, Everyone should strive to become proficient in math, as it will help you out in the long run, even if you want a job or career that has nothing to do with math. Problem solving is a useful skill that everyone can have. Alright? If you learned something or took something good away from the session today, thank you for watching, and remember to stay safe in these tough times. Have a nice day.